The Honourable Joe Oliver was born and raised in Montreal. He got a civil law degree at McGill and an MBA at Harvard. For a number of years he was an investment banker, and then he joined the regulators by becoming executive director in the Ontario Securities Commission. And then he went back to the regulated by becoming CEO of the Canadian Investment Dealers Association of Canada. And last May, he was sworn in as our Minister of Natural Resources in Canada. Mr. Minister, welcome to the Canadian Chamber of Commerce in Japan.
Thank you very much for having me.
Could we start? I know you've had a busy day, and I know you've been talking about these topics probably all day and probably too much, but for our viewers and our members, could you give us an overview, the trends and developments of the natural resources, the Canadian natural resources market in Japan?
Sure. We have a really good relationship with Japan. As you know, we're great friends and allies, and we share a lot of key values like democracy, freedom, human rights, and so on. And we have an excellent commercial relationship as well. We have two-way trade that equals some $24 billion, and about almost $7 billion of that is in natural resources, particularly mining and forestry. The energy sector has not been a particularly big factor. It's only $107 million. And the purpose of my visit here this week is to attend an LNG conference and to talk about the potential for building the relationship between our two countries on energy. Canada, as you know, is emerging as an energy superpower. We have the third largest reserves in oil in the world, some 173 billion barrels, and we have 1,300 trillion cubic feet of natural gas. We haven't actually exported any of the liquefied natural gas yet, but we're building the infrastructure to be able to do that. And in the context of Japan's changing energy mix and their move out of nuclear, we see that as an enormous opportunity for our country to broaden the market and for their country to diversify their sources of supply.
And we are good partners for Japan.
We are very good partners for Japan. We're a very reliable source of energy. We are a free, democratic, stable country, an ally that adheres to the rule of law, and we can be counted on to fulfill our contractual obligations. And from Japan's perspective, of course, they are the biggest importer of natural gas in the world, some third of the entire market, and that number can actually go up as the reliance on nuclear decreases. So they're looking very favorably at Canada as a potential source of supply.
So you've been encouraging more Japanese investment in Canada in particularly the LNG sector or also in oil?
We've been encouraging foreign investment in general. What we're talking about here specifically is the sale of the commodity to Japan. Now, because they have an interest in the commodity, they will also have an interest in potential investments. And Mitsubishi, for one, has already made a significant investment, and there are other Japanese companies that are involved and are looking at that opportunity. We're a very attractive place to invest. In addition to the characteristics I described before, we have a very competitive tax regime and very attractive projects to invest in. So, Canada is a really a destination for a lot of foreign capital.
Today, at a speech at the embassy, you talked about Canada's policy with respect to to regulation and to re-regulation to make it a more friendly, more certain place to invest. You made some emphasis on that, and I suppose that's a theme that you've been emphasizing throughout the rest of your talks.
Well, yes, that's right, because we recently passed what we call responsible resource development, and that's legislation to modernize our regulatory system. When I came to Japan last in November, one of the things I heard was, you've got a lot of resources that we're thirsty for, you're a very attractive place to invest, but it takes a long time to get regulatory approval, and the result is sometimes uncertain. So we heard that from other countries as well. We were very much aware of it, and so we took the step of transforming our regulatory system to make it more efficient, effective, expeditious, and more friendly to the environment.
So in the context of not just energy, but generally speaking, the Canada-Japan trade and investment relationship is certainly going to be transformed, I would imagine, as soon as we get this economic partnership agreement, this bilateral free trade agreement between Canada and Japan on the tracks.
Well, it's definitely going to be enhanced, and I'm very encouraged by that, because it means that there'll be more trade between our two countries, and that makes a lot of sense. I mean, after all, Japan has the third largest economy in the world, and we have a lot of resources and other products that we'd like to sell to them, and products we'd like to buy from them, and we'd like to do it on a fair basis that serves the interests of both our countries.
So the bilateral free trade agreement is just a conversation between Canada and Japan.
That's right.
And something I imagine is going to be a lot easier to do than some kind of multilateral thing, which is still on the table, but nevertheless, this is going to be a quicker task, is it not?
We hope it'll be quicker, and we hope it'll be more comprehensive. But certainly the Trans-Pacific Partnership is an important initiative as well. But in respect to our bilateral relationship with Japan, we think that free trade will advance it considerably.
Can you outline, in closing, Minister, the government's position and goals in the general sense about international trade and natural resources, particularly, once again, back to foreign investment and ownership of those resources?
Well, we have some 600 projects totaling $650 billion in capital in the next 10 years. Our country doesn't have all the capital needed to finance these and other projects in other sectors. So we welcome foreign investment, provided it's a net benefit to the country. And of course, we welcome foreign investment from Japan as well. We see that helping us advance our objective of providing, through responsible resource development, security and prosperity for Canadians now and for future generations. There is an enormous opportunity here. We're blessed with huge natural resources right across the country, and what that means at the end of the day is hundreds and hundreds of thousands of jobs, literally trillions of dollars of economic activity, and hundreds of billions of dollars of revenue to governments to support critical social programs like housing, healthcare, and education.
I know some of the provinces are particularly interested in seeing you be successful in your mission because, of course, this helps them with tax bases as well. But certainly us here in Japan, those of us that are members of our chamber, both Canadians and Japanese alike, I can't think of a more particularly interesting epoch than the one we're facing now. The initiative taken by the government, both governments, to have this EPA and the hard work that you and other colleagues in the cabinet have shown in making Asia a new focus for Canada. It's something that we're all looking forward to seeing much more of, and we certainly want to welcome you to come back to Japan as often as you can possibly make it.
Well, I look forward to that opportunity. What we're doing will be good for both countries and good for the Japanese people and the Canadian people over the long term.
Well, thank you, Minister. Thanks for being with us today, and we
Thank
look
you.
forward to giving you a Canadian welcome back to Tokyo.
Thanks again.
Thanks.